Hello students, I'm Himani Sharma, your educator. I warmly welcome you all on our YouTube channel where we in today's video are going to move ahead and forward with a new theory. So in the previous videos we have discussed post-structuralism, we have also tried to talk about feminist literary theory, and we have yet another school. So we have literary theories mein alag-alag schools aate hain, right? So there's this new school that I'm going to talk about and deal about in today's video, that is Marxist literary theory. Now you know that of course you would have heard the name of Karl Marx. He was one such person who was associated in putting this theory across, putting this idea across, which people later on adopted. ठीक है, उस चीज को adopt करके what they tried to do was to move forward by applying it in the fields of literature. That's why if we are writing them down and we are noting things down here कि वो literary theory है, as we have covered in the feminist literary stance, feminism as a movement was also there, right? And we have discussed those movements, those waves and all. So, but apart from the movement itself, we also see that how in different works the same things, एक ही book को you can read with multiple lenses. This is what the theories work with. So if we try to talk about a Marxist lens or a Marxist literary theory perspective that we might have in mind, we will try to uncover something which is related somewhere or the other with capitalism, hegemony, ideology, or the false consciousness. You guys would have come across words like proletariat, bourgeois. ये सारे words जो हैं, they are much and more inclined towards this school of theory, right? So let's just get introduced as in what are the maxims, what are the things, what are the principles, etc. Right? In the upcoming videos, we gradually will be moving forward with the major theorists that we have, and of course, उनके कितने contributions, the terms they have coined, the major works that they have, so on and so forth, right? So through these videos, one thing is for sure guaranteed, that your crisp and chunk notes will be made if you put in the effort. Because literary theory is something in English literature majorly, UGC NET wala, which can be used for other exams as well, that people and students tend to get, intimidated by. But it's not that difficult, trust me. अगर आपको पता चल गया अच्छा इनके ये thoughts थे, and मैं अपने इस work को Marxist lens के through देख सकता हूँ, मैं देख सकता हूँ कि उसमें capitalism है, how people are being exploited, ठीक है? तो that is one thing which we try to move forward with. Let's just move and see. Economic and political conscious, really sorry. Economic and political context. It tries to, Marxism or Marxist literary theory tries to explore art within the backdrop of prevailing economic and political circumstances. Now, if I go back to the age of Chaucer, I might see that there were patrons who were patronizing things. So any piece of art, things, education, anything, and in the upcoming videos हम लोग इन चीजों के बारे में बात करेंगे. Everything which is around us is governed by something, right? And art is also one sort जो governed होगी if somebody would come in power, right? So economic and political circumstances, the way they are, they will be the ones which will be framing the art, they will be framing the science, they will be framing the literature of that particular age, right? So why do we see कि Chaucer की age, the writings which have been there, they are very different from the Anglo-Saxon age, or if we try to talk about Chaucer's age and drawing a comparison between the modern age and Chaucerian age, we will see a complete difference, because in Chaucer's age we majorly have seen kings and queens ruling. They were there in power. So they were the ones who were influencing the economical and political circumstances and the things which were being dealt with. But if we compare this with the modern age or the postmodern age or the contemporary era, in today's time we do not have the concept of kings and queens majorly. But yet we see that the things that are influenced by, जिस चीज से हम लोग influence हो रहे हैं, they are the ones which are having the backdrop of economic and political circumstances. The way these things are changing, the same thing, उनका effect we are able to see on art, literature, science, legality, laws. ठीक है? Significant social components, artworks in Marxism majorly, and art here is not just the art and craft that we talk about. It comprises of everything which is related to something creative, literature even for that matter, right? Important elements that shape and promote societal meanings, defining good taste, while, read this nicely, while marginalizing alternative interpretations. If you are saying that my interpretation is a good one because I have a good taste in something, it means that you are being someone who is trying to marginalize the other sect, marginalize the other interpretation, right? Ongoing struggle for meaning. Art is viewed as an ongoing struggle for meaning, reflecting larger societal conflicts between dominant and the oppressed factions. So every society, as Williams also will talk in cultural materialism, in other parts as well, when he will write a book named Marxism in Literature, usme bhi he will talk about things. So majorly when we are living in a society, there is a group which is oppressed, there is a group which is in power. That is something which will keep on shifting and moving forward and ahead with the time. So art also is something which tries to gain meaning with the changes that are happening. Manifestation of societal conflict. This particular theory considers this struggle as a manifestation of the broader societal conflict, where literature and art play a role in sustaining power imbalances, because people through literature and art can question things. ठीक है, हमारे आसपास जो हो रहा है, we can question through literature. We read books, we see that yes, of course, there's a new perspective which is there. Examination of power dynamics. Marxist literary theory scrutinizes how literature and art contribute to maintaining power imbalances, often at the expense of the marginalized perspective. So at times we see somebody promoting promoting something, somebody marginalizing something, right? So all the aspects are dealt with in here. Marxist ideology had a substantial impact on cultural theory, anthropology, history and literary criticism that we see. That's why we are studying it in this particular field. In political science as well, we hear the names of thinkers like Marx, Engels, Gramsci, or Lukács, right? So how these people have been there and how their ideology is something which somewhere or the other has influenced not just one field but multiple fields at the same time, right? This particular Marxist literary theory is politically oriented. Why? Connection to real conditions, link between art and the actual conditions within a specific culture. I'm telling you that in today's time, modern times, contemporary times की अगर हम बात करें, we will see whatever is being in our society, right? If something is happening, it is because of something other in power, right? So eventually everything is interconnected, interdependent and being influenced by one another. Integration with power dynamics perceives art forms not as separate entities but as closely intertwined with the prevailing power dynamics in a given culture. So whosoever will come in power will bring his or her ideology, will bring his or her point of views and would try to influence the general public. That is something which is Marxism. And Marxism totally is something which also is driven by the profitability that one can gain. That is known as capitalism, which is yet another aspect of Marxism only. कि maximum profit कैसे बनाया जाए, right? It goes deeper into scrutinizing power relations inherent and obscured within cultural texts. Why and how in literature? If we see any piece of work, if we talk about hard times, if we talk about any other work for that matter, the age when we see कि इंजन्स आने शुरू हो गए थे, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ऑल्सो स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग, स्पेशली रोमांटिक एज के आसपास. So we see that how the other conditions for the poorer people were the ones who were suffering the most. We see that in Blake's works as well, right? Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. We see all these things happening. The chimney sweeper. So what is Blake trying to define through his work? He is trying to challenge the power dynamics. And if we in today's time, अगर मैं कोई work को from a Marxist lens, if I would try to view it, I would try to see what conditions are prevailing in the society. If they are negative or wrong in any circumstance, which is not for the benefit of the people, I might try to and I will try to question that particular thing. अगर मैं अपनी research जो है, if I am trying to apply some sort of research through the usage of Marxist lens, right? So that is something that is there. Then, due to its focus on connecting concrete material conditions, Marxist literary theory has also been named as materialist criticism. Whatever material, I'm not really talking about the physical raw material, but whatever we have as the conditions in the society, as I'm putting an emphasis on from the starting of the video only, we see economy, wages, factory conditions, profits, living standards, population. अगर कोई इंसान जो है, he is very rich, the living standards of that very person would be somewhere or the other in contrast, or if we try to talk about कि हम लोग देख पाएंगे कि how there is no parallel that can be drawn between the poor who is living on the streets and the person who is just chilling in his home, Netflix and chill, right? So all those things, because poor is getting poorer and the rich is getting richer and all. So the living standards also signify that what people, and even Raymond Williams for that instance would give example of wine, that wine was something that people used to consume because it was considered as something which was elite class ka ek symbol, right? So all these things that we see. This approach highlights the interplay between the material realities of a society and the cultural production. Whatever material, conditions we'll have, हमारे आसपास जो भी होगा, any person majorly, जैसे हम देखते हैं Jane Eyre, right? If we see, और अगर if we see Victorian era, if we see Romantic era, they both are different from one another because the conditions were different in both the ages. So whatever material conditions were there, uska सीधा impact we could have, we have seen in the works that were produced, in the structures, in the, monuments that were being built there, right? So that is something which is somewhere or the other trying to tell us that how Marxism can be labeled as materialist as well, right? Materialist criticism as well. Modes of representations में क्या आ जाता है? Cultural forms. Marxist criticism analyzes how these representations either mirror, या तो अगर अमीर है, so if I am writing a piece of literature, I'll show only the elite people, but I can show the other people as well. Distort the prevailing, economic conditions. I can produce a literature which could be rebellious, right? Maintaining power dynamics, that how cultural expressions contribute to maintaining the power of the dominant classes within the society. That brings us somewhere or the other with relation to Foucault's concept of discourse, that whatever would be spread, the dominant ideology, whosoever would be in power, wo she say the other people, the other things that are in his power or her power, he would try to control and he would try to shape or somewhere or the other manipulate the discourses that are being spread, right? Uncovering status quo mechanisms through which the status quo is preserved, allowing the dominant classes to continue exerting influence. That you are in power, you can do whatever you want to the common people, to the buildings, to the material conditions that are there in the society. This involves examining how cultural forms reflect or refract, that is mirror or distort the economic realities that we come across. Right? So Marx के works में भी हमें ये चीज देखने के लिए मिलेगी. With the collaboration that he has done with Friedrich Engels, we will see the same thing happening. But how one Marxist is different from another Marxist, and what are the major works that we will be dealing with in another video. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.